And salt is one of the 4 basic things people need. Our bodies need and acquire adequate amounts of salt daily. Salt's the 2nd major constituent next to water in our body. The immune system can't function well without salt. The hormonal system can't function well without salt. And iodine can't work in the body without adequate amounts of salt. So I consider salt one of the basics. I check salt levels on every patient that comes in the door. I can tell you the vast majority are salt deficient. And so when I talk about salt, as I write about in my book, Salt Your Way to Health, there's good and bad salt. I would say an inadequate form of salt is refined salt. It's the little white crystals that we're all used to. They fit in the salt shaker and they're real fine, and they contain a little bit of iodine, but they only contain sodium and chloride, a little bit of iodine, and then they have toxic chemicals such as ferrocyanide. They have some bleach properties, bleach chemicals in them to make it white. That's not a good product. A better product is unrefined salt, which has over 80 minerals in it, lesser amounts of sodium and chloride. It doesn't have a lot of iodine in it, so therefore you need to supplement with iodine. But this is a staple that people need in their diets. The adrenal system can't function well without salt, the thyroid system can't function well without salt, and the immune system can't function well without salt. And iodine works much better in the body with salt, as salt helps to usher out bromide and fluoride in the body while you take iodine.
Many diets that I've heard about, people that think they're getting healthy, they say, okay, I'm not eating any more salt. Not a good idea.
It is not only is it not a good idea, it's a disastrous idea. And eventually the adrenals get overstressed from this and don't function well. But it's not good for the immune system, it's not good for fighting cancer. And people need salt in their diet. You know, it's a staple. Human beings have needed salts at the beginning of time. We were designed by our maker to need salt.
Right.
How much salt? About a teaspoon a day for most people. The latest studies that just came out in New England Journal of Medicine verified what I've been saying for the last 15 years. You know, I blog about this and I write about it in my newsletter.
Yeah.
You know, as those studies came out, you know, you can look at the curves. It's very easy to look at them. You see high mortality rate on the low end of salt intake, and then it goes down. And it doesn't really matter how much salt you use. Maybe at very high rates, there's problems, but people aren't going to eat that amount of salt. They just need the right kind of salt, which is unrefined salt, such as Celtic brand sea salt, Redmond's real salt, the Himalayan salt. I've tested all 3 versions of those 4 times. I didn't find toxic agents, and I found adequate amounts of minerals in all of those kinds. I think those are very healthy forms of salt.
Magnetic fields are by their nature invisible. There are some things that nature does to make them more visible. For example, in the corona, the magnetic fields control the atmosphere to the extent that you can see loops. We consider that those loops are in fact features of the magnetic field that we're seeing. The description that scientists often use is hairy ball. Some of the hair is ingrown so that the loop is attached to the sun at both ends. But some of the hair goes waving out, and when stuff gets on that open field line, it can stream out and become the solar wind. How hairy it is depends on where we are in the solar cycle. As active regions begin to emerge from the photosphere, it gets very messy, and so it gets hairier and hairier and messier as the solar cycle progresses.
And there's no active region around. Magnetic field can be generated just by the turbulent motion itself. And what you see is that all the magnetic field tends to be crushed and centralized in these intergranular lanes between the bubbles. So if you're looking at the surface, you see these little dancing dots, and they'll appear, they'll emerge, and then they'll move around, and they'll hit each other, and they'll cancel or be submerged. Things happen on many different time scales. photons take hundreds of thousands of years to random walk their way from the core all the way out to where we see them at the photosphere, yet a millionth of a second in a reconnection or something that completely changes the topology of the corona.
Any particle that is charged knows what the magnetic field around it is doing, and it has to move in a direction that's at least in part governed by the magnetic field. And if you have a closed loop of magnetic field, particles moving in that magnetic field will move in such a way that they will never leave. They orbit the magnetic field lines very quickly and whiz around back and forth and back and forth. Once they're on those closed magnetic field lines, they stay there as long as nothing else happens. If you were above one given region of Mars's surface, you might see magnetic field lines bursting out straight towards you. And as they get closer to you, they start to curve away and they turn so that they zoom off into the distance, and then they bend back and they go diving back down. But you're not seeing just one of these. You see this happening all around you.
Essentially, the Earth is like a bar magnet. The magnetic field lines go from the positive pole to the negative pole, almost like circular. In the Arctic, where the magnetic field lines go a long, long way out, away from the Earth, if you go far enough away, they get so weak that the field which is being brought here by the solar wind from the sun actually interacts and almost neutralizes the Earth field, and therefore the particles which are attached to these fields can come out and bombard the atmosphere, and that creates the auroral light.
Greetings, my dears, in love and light. The human electromagnetic field and how it affects how we read and feel about others. Everybody has an electromagnetic field stretching out around us. All living things have an electromagnetic field. Let me just describe for you what that is. The World Health Organization say that electric fields are created by differences in voltage. The higher the voltage, the stronger will be the resultant field. And magnetic fields are created when electric current flows. The greater the current, the stronger the magnetic field. So whenever there's electrical current, there's an electromagnetic field. And our body are full of electrical current. This is from sciencemuseum.org.uk. A nerve impulse is a wave of electrical activity that passes from one end of a neuron to the other. Nerve impulses are a way of coding information in a similar way to FM radio, allowing information to be transmitted both quickly and accurately. So not only are we full of electrical pulses, these electrical pulses send messages. There's information flowing up and down our nerves and to our neurons all the time. So we're a hotbed of electrical activity. And this means that we generate an electromagnetic field. Now, in terms of quantum physics, everything is made up of energy anyway, but we're looking at reality in physical terms right now. So in a physical sense, as you can see here, the human body radiates out an electromagnetic field for several feet actually, and it comes from different organs in the body, some stronger than others. This is from the Journal of Theoretics. The human electromagnetic energy field, its relationship to interpersonal communication. The electric charges coursing through the human brain are measurable by means of an electroencephalogram. Humans thus have an electromagnetic energy field. As a result of this, the human body could act as an aerial that has the potential for simultaneous transmission and reception of energy with its environment. And it goes on. Our very physical bodies may be aerials that can simultaneously transmit electromagnetic energy to and receive electromagnetic energy from our physical environment, including to and from other people, and that this energy does indeed influence us as both emotions and thoughts, the latter being particularly focused when discussing the issue of prayer. Now, I'll save prayer for another video, but here it's touching on the fact that our electromagnetic fields can cause some kind of communication to occur, so that we're sending and receiving messages perhaps on a subconscious level without realising it. And this can contribute to when you just get a feeling about someone. You have intuitions about their personality, or you receive empathic feelings, empathic emotions about someone, and then later on you're proved right. Oh, I knew they were a certain way, or I knew they were a nice person, etc. This is from the Heart Math Institute. The electricity of touch, detection and measurement of cardiac energy exchange between people. The data presented here clearly show that when people touch or are in proximity, a transference of the electromagnetic energy produced by the heart occurs. This energy exchange was evidenced by the registration of one individual's electrocardiogram R wave peak at different sites on another person's body surface. So also from Heart Math. Heart Math studies show that this powerful electromagnetic field can be detected and measured several feet away from a person's body and between two individuals in close proximity. So here we start to realise the absolute importance of touch and being close to people, because if communication really does occur between our electromagnetic fields on a subconscious level, then being in close proximity is very important. Now, really interestingly, this is from the Royal College of Psychiatrists. The heart's magnetic field. Research has also revealed that the heart communicates information to the brain and throughout the body via electromagnetic field interactions. The heart generates the body's most powerful and most extensive rhythmic electromagnetic field. The heart's magnetic component is about 500 times stronger than the brain's magnetic field and can be detected several feet away from the body. It was proposed that this heart field acts as a carrier wave for information that provides a global synchronizing signal for the entire body. So the body is communicating with itself all the time, and we know that already. Just to be able to move your limbs, your body is communicating information through your nerves in order to maintain body temperature, to sweat, to digest, to sleep, to do anything, absolutely anything. A lot of things that are totally subconscious in terms of functionality. It's all different parts of your body communicating with other parts, namely the brain, most importantly, and the heart. It goes on. Heart field interactions between individuals. There is now evidence that subtle yet influential electromagnetic or energetic communication system operates just below our conscious awareness. Energetic interactions possibly contribute to the magnetic attractions or repulsions that occur between individuals, and also affect social relationships. It was also found that one person's brainwaves can synchronize to another person's heart. So this is wonderfully interesting, that on a subconscious level we could be communicating and synchronizing with each other. Do you ever get that feeling when you meet someone there's absolute fireworks or chemistry and you just don't know why? You don't need to say a word, but you know you're a perfect match. Or indeed you meet a new friend and you just click, you just get on so well and you don't know why. You may have only exchanged a few sentences. Yes, body language and things like that come into play. But in addition, could it be true that that feeling you feel about someone is your electromagnetic field coming into contact with theirs, and there's an energetic communication going on? So that feeling you get about someone, that intuition about them, you could be subconsciously reading information about their personality. You could be reading that if they're a similar kind of vibrational level to you, a vibrational frequency which is similar to yours, so that you know on a subconscious level that you have similar interests without even saying a word. For example, on a subconscious level, you might be able to tell if someone's got an open and radiant heart chakra that's as open and free-flowing as yours. So in terms of communication, this can help to explain psychic abilities and intuitive abilities, empathic abilities to do with communication and reading another individual. Although psychic readings can be done over long distances because we're all one, the closer they get to someone, the more they can really feel their emotions and feel their emotions as if they're their own. In addition, with a partner and you have loving physical contact, this can really be felt. And if you really get into it, this feeling can really magnify because you're in each other's electromagnetic fields. You can literally feel the love at a subconscious level. Now, it's well known that touch is really important. On a physical level, touch produces biochemical responses that help us to feel good, to feel loved and included and content. But here we can see that if our electromagnetic fields are in contact with each other, there can be some kind of psychic transference of emotion at a subconscious level.
Greetings, spell nerds. We used dysprosium nitrate some time ago to make glow-in-the-dark powder. Now, most dysprosium solids have the interesting property that they are slightly magnetic. They don't retain any magnetism afterward like a ferromagnetic substance, so this would be classified as paramagnetic. It's not very impressive, but strong enough to be attracted toward a magnet. Dysprosium is thus used for making various magnetic materials such as those found in motors, actuators, and hard drives. I think this is interesting because it's a clear crystalline substance that's magnetic, very different from the dark, opaque ferrites and metals that we're normally familiar with. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like,
The sun is so important I dedicated a whole chapter to it in my book, Heal Yourself 101. It is one of the fundamental basics of life and radiant health. Sunlight does not cause cancer. People who get skin cancer are unhealthy. It's that simple. People in third world countries don't wear sunscreen, yet they almost never get skin cancer. Sure, many of them have dark skin, which protects you from the sun, but what happens when you go in the sun? You tan, your skin gets darker. This is your body's way of protecting you from the sun. Yet in America, dark-skinned people are starting to get skin cancer and related melanomas. Why? Diet and lifestyle. Don't believe anyone who tells you sunlight causes melanoma. In fact, the opposite. Researchers in Sweden followed 30,000 women over 20 years and found women who avoid sunbathing during the summer are twice as likely to die as those who sunbathe every day with high exposure to sunlight. In studies all over the world, as sun exposure increases, malignant skin cancer goes down. The reason some people get melanoma after going in the sun is because they are toxic. They eat wrong, smoke, drink, and fill their bodies with all kinds of chemical crap. Their livers are clogged and their kidneys are so toxic that the blood has to push the toxins out to the skin, where it gets baked by the sun into the skin cells, causing melanoma. Wrinkles increase when people eat sugar and lots of sweet food, which cross-links the proteins in your skin, thus weakening it. Don't blame the sun, it just intensifies your condition. So get healthy now, there are no shortcuts. Kara and I do not use sunscreen. Many third world cultures who live in the sun all day don't use sunscreen or sun lotion. Sunscreen is one of the most toxic things you can put on your skin and is actually the cause of many skin cancers. Look at the label. You are literally baking those chemicals right into your skin cells, which open up when they get hot from the sun. Want cancer? Slather that crap on. Sunscreen blocks the body's ability to produce vitamin D3 from the sun's UVB rays, which is by far the best form of vitamin D. Forget those worthless vitamin D pills. You need sunlight to get the real thing. In the USA, vitamin D deficiency is at epidemic levels. This deficiency can lead to aggressive forms of skin cancer. Vitamin D protects the body from diseases like multiple sclerosis, bone disease, tuberculosis, type 1 diabetes, inflammatory bowel disease, rheumatoid arthritis, and lupus. Vitamin D is created when sunlight hits your skin, which helps remineralize your bones and teeth. It oxygenates your skin, it lowers blood pressure, it helps wounds and broken bones heal faster, it improves poor eyesight. The sun's rays contain infrared energy to detox the body and UV rays to cleanse and sterilize our skin of bacteria and fungus. God doesn't make mistakes. We are designed to be in the sun. People who don't get enough sunlight start having all kinds of physical, mental, and emotional problems. Bones go soft and depression sets in. The highest suicide rates are in places with the least sunlight. On the other hand, people who get lots of sun have more energy, they feel better, they get sick less, they have denser, stronger bones and teeth, immune systems, richer blood, and healthier nerves. Sun normalizes hormone levels and raises sex drive. It even increases the amount of iron in your blood and gives you a tan look. Low on iron? Go in the sun. Sunshine may reduce breast cancer by up to 40% and ovarian cancer by 80%. USA cancer rates are highest in states with the least sunshine. So how do you protect yourself from overexposure? The same way plants do, from the inside out. Have you ever wondered why delicate thin leaves don't wither in the sun even at 110 degrees? It's their green blood, chlorophyll. If you juice, blend, or eat green leafy plants, you get the same magic protection that protects their delicate leaves. If you want, you can also help keep your lips and skin moisturized with what Kara and I use, Be Magic. Nature does not make mistakes. We need sunlight, even if it's just 30 minutes a day. And while you're at it, remember, clothes are not natural. Whenever you can, get out of them and be free in nature, totally free like Kara and I love doing. This is how we are designed. One of the most beautiful experiences is to be totally naked in nature. Let it embrace you. Swim in it, and let it heal you.
But the sun has always been our friend. And if you notice, even though the sun, it's around about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I can almost stare at it without wincing. And the reason I can do that is because my adrenal glands aren't fatigued. Now, one of the clear signs I find with my clients, if they can't look at the sun, especially when it's first rising in the morning or going down, setting in an evening, that's because their adrenals are fatigued. And if their adrenals are fatigued, the chances are their thyroid is too. And I always want to know the etiology or root cause of that. However, my invite for you is to do this thing that I call sun gazing. What I mean by that is in the first hour, or the last hour when the sun is setting, you can quite clearly look at the sun and not damage your eyes. Now, my invite is, if you're going to do this, if you've never stared at the sun before without your sunglasses, then only do it for 10 seconds. And then if you can do it the next day, it would be 20 seconds, and then the next day 30 seconds, and so on. So the last hour of the sun going down or setting, or the first hour in the sun rising, those are the two times that you could stare at the sun and it won't do your eyes any harm whatsoever. In fact, since I've been doing sun gazing since 2005, I could probably stare at the sun now for about half an hour. Now, it's a bit too high at the moment, but certainly if the clouds disappear, then that's what I'll be doing.
Negative ions. How do negative ions influence your health? In this video we will tell you, what is a negative ion? How do negative and positive ions influence our health? And, the most important, how can we balance the natural ion level in our homes? So, what is an ion? An ion is an atom or molecule in which the total number of electrons is not equal to the total number of protons, which gives it a positive or negative electrical charge. Thus, there are two types of ions. An anion is a negatively charged ion, which contains more electrons than protons. A cation is a positively charged ion, which contains more protons than electrons. How are negative ions formed? When oxygen molecules, which have a neutral charge, get treated by a negative electrode, they break apart, forming negatively charged ions and positively charged protons. How do negative ions affect our health? Today's modern world is overstuffed with positive ions. Fluorescent lighting, computers, electronic devices, air conditioning systems, even some building materials emit positive ions into the air. They can cause tiredness, irritation, depression, and other problems. This is why balancing ionization of your home or office is important for both health and work benefits. Negative ions, on the contrary, have a refreshing, invigorating effect. Some medical organizations even use negative air ionization therapy for treating depression and seasonal affective disorder. Remember the freshness and energy you feel after a lightning storm. In a mountain forest, by a waterfall or a fast river. All these places have naturally balanced ion level. Do you feel dizzy, sleepy, or slack near a working air conditioning system, or in a car when an air conditioner is on? Do you remember the instant wave of freshness and lightened mood when you open the window or go out of the car? This is the contrast between positive and negative ion effects. Why that happens? According to U.S. Department of Agriculture, negative ions stop growth and reduces amount of airborne bacteria, mold spores, dust mites, etc., by 95%. They also remove dust particles from the air and even removes chemical pollutants and cigarette smoke by 52%. According to researches by Dr. Pierce J. Howard, negative ions also have a great influence on our health. They increase the flow of oxygen to the brain, resulting in higher alertness, decreased drowsiness, and more mental energy. They also strengthen the functions of autonomic nerves, reinforce skin collagen, improve the permeability of the cell's prototype plasma membranes, which means, improves metabolism, and strengthens the body's immune system. Negative ions stimulate a group of defense cells in our bodies that marshal our resistance to disease, improve our capacity to absorb and utilize oxygen. Negative ions in the bloodstream accelerate the delivery of oxygen to our cells and tissues. Speed up oxidation of serotonin in the blood. This is well known to have far-reaching effects on mood, pain relief, and sexual drive. Negative ions decrease production of the neurohormone serotonin that causes sleeplessness and nightmares, which helps you have a better and healthier sleep. Positive ions triggers overproduction of serotonin, which leads to mental, emotional, and psychological stress, anxiety, depression. On the other hand, negative ions reduce its production, resulting in successful and natural treatment of these conditions. Positive ions in bloodstream have a negative effect to metabolism rates, weaken the immunity, and contribute to premature aging, while negative ions have the opposite effect. The famous alkaline diet is based on this effect. Acidic foods produce positive ions, alkaline foods, negative ions.
Personally, I know 3 people who speak with the electronic gadget. How many people do you know?
I grew up surrounded by it, but it started getting worse. Like, you started to smell stuff in the air, you started to notice more sounds, you started to see fires.
We're being poisoned on a daily basis. We don't know what we've been exposed to. We know hydrogen sulfide, they admitted to that, June 2014, but since then, we've experienced the odors over and over and over again.
People get a lot sick more often. You don't know what they're putting out there. You don't.
These petrochemical companies do not have to emit some of the gases that they're emitting. We have the technology, we can move past this. The only thing that prevents it from being done is money. The corporations are looking at their bottom line, period. And that's all they can see. They don't live in the neighborhood where they're releasing these gases.
It's like they're taking away my right to breathe. Like, you're telling me I don't have the right to breathe clean air. Money shouldn't be more important than someone's health.
The neighborhoods that are mostly affected are minority and poor neighborhoods.
It says they don't care. If you don't have money, they don't care about you.
We have elected officials who, even after we've shown them what's going on, still seem to be trying to protect industry. But we've had officials that lied to us. So what do? We have to hold our politicians, our representatives accountable.
You vote for people who you put in office, they're there for 4 years, 2 years, sometimes 6. It matters.
The most important votes you can make are local. We have to elect the people that represent us. And right now, there's a lot of people that don't represent us. And when I say us, I'm talking about anybody who's interested in the environment, anybody who's interested in what's going to be left for their kids and their grandkids. Anybody who has a stake in the future, anybody who has a stake in the future should be up in arms.
My name's Jilla Grayson. I grew up in St. Rose, Louisiana. I will vote for clean air. Hey there and welcome to Brain Stuff. I'm Josh Clark and this is the Brain Stuff where I bring you a very important public service announcement about oxygen. Oxygen is probably the most important thing that you need, more than food, water, even hugs. You can go weeks without food, you can go maybe days without water, but within 10 to 15 minutes of being deprived of oxygen, your brain dies. But have you ever wondered, exactly why do I need this oxygen to survive? I'm here to tell you. So oxygen is the most abundant element on planet Earth. It makes up 23% of the atmosphere, 89% of all of the Earth's water, and about 47% of the Earth's crust. And it's lucky that it is in such abundant supply because not just you need it to survive, but almost all living things, with the exception of anaerobic life, of course, need oxygen to survive. Now wait, you say, what about plants? Plants don't need oxygen, they give off oxygen. That's where we get our oxygen from. That is true. Photosynthesis does produce oxygen as a byproduct, and you do take that oxygen in for yourself. But when the sun's not out and all the humans are sleeping and there is no photosynthesis, plants breathe. They actually gather oxygen from the air and from the soil through their roots, which they use to break down sugars to use for energy. It's a process called cellular respiration, and you do the exact same thing. In fact, now we've reached the first reason why you need oxygen to survive: cellular respiration. In cells throughout your body, there's all manner of functions and processes being carried out, and all of this stuff is powered by cellular respiration, where carbohydrates are broken down in the presence of oxygen into something called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. Now, ATP is an energy source that can be used for just about any function by just about any cell in the body. It's kind of like the common currency of all cellular processes. So you can think of cellular respiration as the process of converting carbohydrates into ATP in a similar way where foreign currencies are converted to dollars at the cambio. You can take those dollars and use them in any cell you like. Cellular respiration also produces a couple of byproducts as well, namely CO2, carbon dioxide, H2O, water, and heat. And that heat is the second reason you need oxygen to survive. See, since all of our cellular processes are being fueled by this oxygen that's carrying out cellular respiration and also producing heat, it's pretty clever and efficient to use that heat to warm said body. So everything we do, from thinking to running to going like this, uses cellular respiration and thus produces heat, which keeps our body temperature at a nice warm toasty state. But let's get back to those byproducts again. Remember, you produce carbon dioxide and excess water during cellular respiration, and your body has to get rid of that stuff somehow. So let's think. If you need to take in oxygen from the environment and you need to get rid of waste CO2 and excess water, what could you possibly do that would lick both of these at the same time? Breathing does this. It's actually an elegant solution to what I like to call the conundrum of the aerobic organism. So, are you pretty good at breathing? We want to know. You can leave a comment below, maybe subscribe while you're at it, and check
I want to talk to you about the 10 benefits to drinking water. Now, before we get into the benefits, did you know that 74% of adults are dehydrated? And if you're like me, where, you know, being healthy and having nutrition is important, did you know that being dehydrated can actually slow your metabolism down by 3 to 5%? Thus keeps the pounds on that you're trying to get rid of. Did you also know that 37% of people confuse thirst for hunger, which means instead of just drinking some water, which has no calories, they actually eat more, which adds their calories for the day, thus more pounds, and so on and so forth. So that's why it's important to really understand the 10 benefits of drinking water. And let's get started. Number 1, drinking water helps you lose weight. The reason why you want to drink a lot of water is because it helps flush out the toxins and the byproducts of the fat breakdowns in your body. When your body is flushed out, it's in more balance and it's just healthier overall. Plus, like we said, water has no calories, so it's just a good thing to drink. Put down the soda, put down the juices, drink some water. The second benefit is you're going to look younger with healthier skin. Did you know that your skin is the biggest organ on your body, and all of your organs in your body have water in them? When your skin is properly hydrated, water helps replenish the skin tissues, water helps moisturize your skin, and increases your skin elasticity. So on a side note, maybe instead of using all those, like, you know, lotions and potions and whatever else for your skin, maybe drink some more water. That definitely could help you. The third reason, you'll have better productivity at work or in business. And the reason is because your brain is made up of 90% water. So it only makes sense that you feed your brain exactly what it needs. When your brain and body are in good balance, you think better, you're more alert, and you're more concentrated. Thus, you'll have better productivity, whether it's work or it's business, okay? So imagine if you actually could give up some coffee or those 5-hour energy drinks by just drinking water and being in better health. That's the idea here. Number 4, you'll have a better exercise and better workouts. You know, one of the main functions of water in your body is to control the temperature of your body. Well, when your body is in good balance with its temperature, your workouts can be longer and they can be stronger because you have more energy. Your body doesn't have to go into survival mode when the temperature gets too high, depriving you of energy, thus making your workouts better overall. The 5th reason is water helps with digestion and constipation. You know, drinking plenty of water will just helps your digestion, increases your metabolism, flushes out your toxins. You know, furthermore, fiber and water go hand in hand, which helps control your constipation and allows you to have a normal bowel movement. Sorry to talk about that, but we're just keeping it real here, right? Number 6, water provides less cramps and sprains. Have you ever had that waking up in the middle of the night just screaming in pain from your calf or your hamstring and like just an amazing intense cramp? I know I have in the past, and the reason is because you know, you don't have enough water in your system. You know, you're dehydrated. Your muscles require a lot of water, so when you're dehydrated, cramps can happen. That's why, that's why you want to avoid just that at all costs and drink plenty of water. Thus, number 7, the reason you're less likely to get sick. When you drink plenty of fluids, you increase the chance of fighting off ailments like the flu, kidney stones, or even heart attacks. Now, this isn't to say that water is the end-all be-all for cure sicknesses, but water definitely helps, okay? It's better than putting in soda in your body. Remember, flushing out toxins and keeping your body balanced is what water can do for your body. The 8th reason, water relieves stress and fatigue, okay? Like I said earlier, all of your organs are made up of water in some way or another. Your heart is no different. Now, when your body doesn't have enough water, your heart has to work harder in order to pump out the oxygenated blood to all the cells and organs in your body. When your heart has to work harder, then your organs have to work harder too, making both your heart and organs more exhausted. The extra energy used here deprives you of energy in other areas, causing stress and fatigue, okay? Bottom line, drink more water, keep your body in balance, keep it healthy. That's the idea here. Number 9, keeps you in a good mood. This is a simple one. I mean, you don't have to explain that. You know, when you're in a good mood, you're more productive. Life is better. Everything is better. It's like attraction marketing. It's all that kind of fun stuff. So, you know, when things feel good, you want to stay in that form. That's why drinking water keeps you in a good mood. And number 10, it reduces the risk of cancer. This is a big one out there. It's because there are some studies out there, related to the digestive system. showing that drinking a healthy amount of water may reduce the risk of bladder cancer or colon cancer. This happens because water dilutes the concentration of cancer-causing agents in the urine and shortens the time in which those agents are in contact with the bladder lining. Okay, I'm not saying, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutrition specialist, I'm not anything like that where this is, you know, stuff you take to the bank, but the bottom line is there are studies out there about the benefits of drinking water when associated with cancer. So get yourself educated, which is what you're doing right now.
This system I'm using, it also has an activated charcoal filter in it to remove any volatile organic compounds as well. And literally it removes everything from the water, inorganic minerals that your body can't utilise, and they just deposit around the body and cause issues with like inflammation in the body because they build up around the bones. So it relates to issues like osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis and other conditions that are similar to that. And yeah, it also removes like parasites, any pharmaceuticals are in the water, because a lot of tap water, for example, contains pharmaceuticals. It gets rid of heavy metals, it gets rid of pathogens like bad bacteria, radiation, you name it, it does it. So literally, the water you're left with is pure H2O with nothing added, unlike a lot of things out there which are like H2O plus inorganic minerals and all these other substances that are really not meant to be in the water, and they're not meant to be going within your body because they cause a whole host of negative effects on your mind and body, and that's the last thing you want. That's the last thing I want for you. So yeah, this is only sort of water you'll find out they like it. The next best water is basically reverse osmosis, but this does not remove everything. And also, yeah, distilling removes fluoride as well, which a lot of people do not want that because it causes so many issues. It targets the pineal gland specifically and has negative effects on the pineal gland and melatonin production and stuff like that, and it sort of pulls you away from like being really connected spiritually to the spiritual aspect of yourself, and can really disconnect you from like your intuition and higher self as well, and that's the last thing that you want to be having happen. But yeah, if you are having reverse osmosis, if you want to make it pretty much on par with distilled water, then you want to be making sure you're using a UV filter and ozonating it if possible. If you can't ozonate, at least use the UV filter, that's good enough.
French company somehow convinced people it's cool to buy bottled water. How does Evian make you feel? Today, Evian surpassed Perrier in sales, and now it's the chic French water of choice. Why? It costs about $5 a gallon. Why do people pay so much for something you can get for free? If they're not buying Evian, they buy Aquafina and Dasani and the dozens of new brands that are jumping into this billion-dollar business, including bizarre ones like Venus, the water for women. And this one with the Donald scowling at us. I'd have to be very thirsty to buy that. Now, many people say they buy bottled waters because they taste better.
I drink Dasani. It tastes good. It tastes crisp, like natural.
Lots of people told us tap water isn't as good.
I think tap water kind of tastes like sewer.
That's what people say, but is it true? We ran a test. We offered people New York City tap water and 5 other bottled water, some of them expensive. Could people tell the difference when they didn't know what they were drinking?
We'll get to our test results in a moment, but first, the other reason many people buy bottled water is that they claim it's safer.
I drink tap water home, and I'm the only one who's brave enough to do so. Your family's afraid to drink tap water? Yes. What are they afraid of? Germs.
Germs? At Earth Day celebrations, we heard a lot about how tap water is unhealthy.
Me, as a parent, I feel more comfortable giving her bottled water.
I drink Poland Spring, and that water is clean. It looks clean. It tastes clean, and it's like it's clean. It's clean.
Bottled water, we were told, is cleaner, safer, healthier.
Another of nature's gifts you can use to do something healthy.
Watching those ads, you would think that this stuff might not be healthy. But that's not true.
We took 5 bottles of national brands of bottled water and a sample of tap water from this drinking fountain in the middle of New York City and sent them to microbiologist Aaron Margolin to test for the bacteria that can make you sick, like E. coli. What did he find?
There was actually no difference between the New York City tap water and the bottled waters that we evaluated.